Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast, Episode 18. What happens in Space Vegas stays in Space Vegas.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is great disturbance in the Force.
The Vox Box Star Wars Podcast. Your source for Star Wars comics, news, and more. And now your host, Michael Corley.
Welcome back to Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Corley. Thank you so much for listening today. We are covering Star Wars number 18. It is titled The Empire Strikes. Interesting title. This is before Empire Strikes Back comes out. All I can assume is that the writers knew about the title of the upcoming movie and no doubt used this to kind of tease the reader. We open with the Millennium Falcon. It is in hyperspace. Chewbacca and Han are working on some minor repairs as the Millennium Falcon is constantly in a state of almost disrepair. And that's when C-3PO comes and gets Princess Leia, brings her in to see that Luke has collapsed. R2-D2 is very upset. R2-D2 is reporting back to C-3PO that Master Luke was practicing with his lightsaber. He's got a visor covering his head, and the small testing droid is hitting him. And he's saying, "Ow, blast it, my timing's off. I'm not feeling the Force. Can't seem to clear my mind." He's stopping the exercise and trying to meditate, trying to get in tune with the Force. And he sees something. He says, "Something's coming. Ben? Is it Ben? No!" And his eyes open wide in terror. And then he simply fell unconscious, perhaps in a coma. They have got to find some help for him. They have dropped to sublight only to find trouble. There is a TIE fighter saying, "Attention, freighter, attention! You are making an unauthorized entry into a military containment zone. Prepare for immediate boarding." And what does Han Solo do? What Han Solo does whenever there's trouble, he opens fire and he blasts the TIE fighter to smithereens. He calls that his emergency plan. That worked for the moment, but they know that as soon as it fails to check in, that more will come to check it out. That's when they see what the TIE fighter was there to contain. There is a wrecked vessel, a huge private merchant ship. It's been scuttled, and recently it bears the markings of House Tag. By the way, Tag is spelled T-A-G-G-E. I don't know if there's a correct way to pronounce that, but I am going to pronounce it Tag for the purpose of this podcast. We'll be hearing more about House Tag later on. In the wreckage, they actually see a possible survivor. It's a man in a spacesuit. They bring him on board. They're trying to get the med pack. And the man is saying, "No, too late. Empire saw that they forced us aboard the merchant ship before destroying it." And Han is saying, "Well, the Empire wouldn't hit a Tag family ship. One of the brothers is an Imperial fleet commander." And the dying man is saying, "It's true. I don't know why, but they wanted to make it look like a rebel raid. We were prisoners. We were brought here so our bodies would make it more convincing." This is a rebel commander. He's even got the little hat that the rebels had in the opening of A New Hope when